His question is, what do y'all think about Michigan possibly running some type of Bill Walsh old school 49ers offense? I think it will be deadly. I mean, I agree,
You said the West
100%.
Coast offense.
Yeah, like a West Coast. Yeah, that I mean that's what Bill Walsh and the Niners ran, like West Coast. I mean, yes, I agree. I think it would be pretty deadly, especially with the personnel that I think Michigan has offensively. I think the offense will be the strength of the team this year if we're just only talking offense and defense. I think they have the weapons to be really dynamic. So I agree. I think an offensive style like a West Coast would be helpful. The only thing I would caution is not that I don't think who I assume will eventually be the starter in JJ. It's not that I don't think he can grasp that playbook, but you want to be careful in how much you change, especially when you want the goal is to have JJ come in and be extremely comfortable. I think the most comfortable position he could be in is running an offense that he knows everything front to back. That would be the only caveat that I would give. But I agree with Antoine. I think having that style of offense would definitely benefit Michigan and could take them kind of to that next level that we were talking about.
Yeah, look, the West Coast offense has been very successful in the NFL. One guy has been famous for running is Andy Reid. In recent history, I mean, he's taken the West Coast offense. I mean, not so much he's taken that philosophy in Kansas City, but definitely with Philadelphia, with guys like Jonathan McNabb. He was famous for doing the West Coast offense. I mean, I mean, there's been a lot of coaches and a lot of great players have been successful with that. Um, but just in terms of consistency, I wouldn't want to change any schematics right now. I think the best thing that we can continue to do with JJ and even Cade is to stay in the spread type of offense, spread scheme, using our speed, using our athleticism. Because at the end of the day, playing this style, it spreads the defense apart, and it just allows for more weapons, more things for the defense to account for, and also it can help hide certain weaknesses. As opposed to with a West Coast offense, you need to have a good offensive line. I actually believe you need a really good tight end as well. And I just think that you have to make sure you hit on certain aspects in terms of recruiting and player development compared to the spread. You can get away with a spread offense having a average offensive line if your receiving core is really good. So I rather not make any big changes schematically on offense right now. But in theory, I definitely see why it could be beneficial.
Mark, what say you?
So this is the West Coast offense that we could argue actually originated in Ohio when Bill Walsh was the offensive coordinator for Paul Brown with the Cincinnati
I don't
Bengals.
think that's what
That's
Anton
when
was,
he
was,
devised
was
that.
trying to think about when he brought that up, Mark.
Well,
But thank you.
I'm just trying to make sure everybody's accurate on their
Accuracy is
facts
important.
and the origin of all this. So yeah, Bill Walsh was the offensive coordinator for the Cincinnati Bengals under Paul Brown and developed with other people, just like anything else that's become legendary and great. It's typically not one person, and it a number of different origins of it. But when I think West Coast, this is the other thing that happens is when there's been a term around for so long that I kind of lose track on what are we talking about here. So the West Coast offense originally in the NFL was devised because teams determined, and Dre hit on this, is that the offensive line, there was a brute force game in the 50s and 60s. If you had an offensive line that wasn't quite as good, you wanted to get the ball out of the quarterback's hands, and you couldn't dominate in the running game. And so if you had a quarterback and receivers that were really at a high skill development, that the concept was we're going to run the ball less, but we're going to use a short passing game as an extension for the run. And we're going to do that because our quarterback has a quick release. He can get the ball out of his hands. We don't have to rely on him standing in the pocket, patting the football 3 times before he delivers it downfield. And so it's just an idea of extending the running game to the perimeter and doing it by throwing the football. But yeah, I don't think that really translates a lot to what's going on today and what Michigan's running. You wouldn't have seen Joe Montana ever in a shotgun spread formation, for one thing, nor was there ever a running quarterback who was the guy running a West Coast offense. So yeah, there's certainly concepts of it. Absolutely, they can be adopted to take advantage of what could be the best Michigan wide receiver core that we've seen top to bottom in terms of depth and number of players that we've seen. So yeah, absolutely. In certain ways, yeah.